questions, there's a lot of thank yous. I'm going to avoid 10 years worth of thank yous. Needless to say, an endeavour like WikiLeaks comes about as a result of the efforts of a great many people and institutions, common allies, love of what we're doing, and in some cases, sympathy and the thrill of doing something that's important. So I don't want to give a map of all the important people by thanking them, but that necessarily isn't a suggestion that everyone I'm about to mention is not important. So it's a mixture. First of all, the committed team of brave technicians and journalistic staff that make WikiLeaks what it is, which is an organization which has technical understanding at its core. That is our speciality, that is our comparative. Our sources, of course, without which none of this is possible. We will always keep your trust and do the best to get the best impact possible for you, shown over the years that we do. Our readers, supporters, and defenders who keep our mission going. A lot of staff and a lot of legal battles, a lot of money. And it's only through the funding of our readers and supporters that we're able to keep that big ship going. Our increasingly formidable legal team, they're public, so it can be named, including Balthazar Gazon, Barry Pollack, Margaret Kunstler in the United States, Lynn Taylor, Gareth Pierce, Stella Morris, Renata Abilia, Kerry Schenkman, Jennifer Robinson, Julian Burnside, Greg Barnes, and more than 100 other lawyers in different countries, nearly all of whom work pro bono, although they're expenses. Our allies, media partners, and other defenders in hundreds of institutions and countries, especially the Centre for Constitutional Rights in the United States, FFDN, Reporters Sans Frontiers, Human Rights Watch, the ACLU, and the Freedom of Press Foundation in the United States. Professor Gavin McFadgen, who's in a very difficult way at the moment in terms of his health, Susan Penn and John Pilger, who should be personally thanked. The people and government of Ecuador and the United Nations, who have courageously respected my human rights despite considerable pressure over the years. The people of Germany, the Holland Foundation, Der Spiegel, the Deutsche Zeitung, the CCC, Angela and Daniel Richter, John Gertz, and there's many others who I mentioned. And last, but perhaps most significantly, those who died fighting in this business. Michael Ratner, Chief Legal Counsel, Don Jones, who, together with Melinda Taylor, presented our UN decision. Aaron Schwartz, Lenny Weinglass, another one of our lawyers. Rest in power. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Julian. So we have some time to take some questions. Yeah, sure.
There's obviously been a lot of speculation in the US that the leaks are about to come out are going to destroy the European company. Can you confirm or deny that?
Julian, do you want to take that one? Because I think it's the false quoting of you that's been the issue on some of this. Sorry. It was referring to, do we have any comment on whether the upcoming publications to do with the US elections will destroy Clinton or not?
there has been a lot of misquoting of me and WikiLeaks publications. In this particular case, the misquoting has to do with that we intend to harm Hillary Clinton, or I intend to harm Hillary Clinton, or I don't like Hillary Clinton. All those are false. They come about as a result, principally, it seems, of his campaign and defenders trying to personalize our publications and how they operate. Yes, they do.
Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, me again.
Yeah.
Julian also implied that there's been some kind of threats towards the Ecuadorian people as a result of Ecuador giving Julian asylum. Can you elaborate more on exactly what kind of pressures they're under?
Julian, do you want to? The question is, you seem to have referenced that Ecuador or the Ecuadorian people have been threatened because of the decision to give you asylum. Is that what you said, stroke meant, and can you elaborate any more?
I didn't say threatened. I said that there's significant pressure. It is, if you read the Ecuadorian press, you can see some of that in play in relation to other forms of pressure and developments in the United Kingdom, the United States, in response to our upcoming publications and the DNC leaks. Well, we have a lot of sources, and those sources are in US politics, intelligence organizations, and their equivalents in the United Kingdom. And so, yeah, we know when there are developments afoot, and we're aware of them, and we will understand them and react accordingly.
Yes?
So far during this election cycle, you focused on leaks from the DNC. Can you specify if upcoming releases, including before the election, would also affect the Republicans? Can you go that far?
That was trying to get into content of upcoming releases, re the elections. Will it also cover Republicans? I mean, we generally don't go into sort of content of releases for quite specific reasons, in that part of bringing the impact and also ensuring or trying to minimize the ability to get up a spin before we've actually gone live is one of the reasons why we keep the releases so confidential. So there are good reasons for it. I don't know if you want to elaborate any more, Julian, though, on the Republican-Democrat spin that people have tried to.
There's a lot of fascinating angles that are unexpected.
I think he can't hear what we're saying, so he was talking about the publication. He said there's a lot of fascinating angles. That was the quote that he used. He can't really, the sound back to it. Yeah, it's. Any other questions? Yeah, I'll go to the lady first and then come to you if that's okay. Yeah.
If you look at what you've summarized this now, what you've accomplished over the past 10 years, looking ahead for the next 10, what are your goals overall, specifically? Like, what do you hope to accomplish in the next decade with WikiLeaks?
The lady said looking at the past 10 years and then looking at the decade going forward, what do you hope to accomplish with WikiLeaks? What are your goals?
In the goals going forward? Well,
yeah, going forward for a decade.
Yeah, I mean, we've come to understand something about modern human institutions and how they work, and how it works and how it's shifting. And that gives some ability, as everyone knows, it's always limited to look forward and understand where things are going. I don't think I'll surprise anyone by saying that we're going in next year into a pretty serious space in the global geopolitical order as a result of either of the two current US presidential candidates and the power factions that are behind them, and waning Pax America in different ways, and the shifting from predictable state power into an assembly of unpredictable state powers and the major corporations acting more and more like states. But why that we talked back in the 1990s that the state was at an end, actually something really very different is happening now. But I don't think something that could have been foreseen at that stage. So as far as WikiLeaks is concerned, the more we're in an interesting position, but the more that the world globalizes and digitizes, the greater comparative advantage WikiLeaks has. Similarly, the greater the levels of censorship, including self-censorship, the greater WikiLeaks' comparative advantage is as an organization that was built legally and technically, and to a degree politically, to resist censorship.
The gentleman at the back.
My question is that you released 10 million documents in 10 years, which makes 3,000 documents per day. How do you make sure that you know what you're publishing? Is anybody who can reach 3,000 documents a day? There's lots of volunteers, or how does it work?
Do you want to go with this one? Oh, sorry, you can't hear. The question is regarding the stats that we've published, of how much we've published. We say it's an average of 3,000 documents per day. How do we verify at those quantities? Do you want to talk about?
Sure. Yes, of course, that would be impossible. No, it wouldn't be impossible. It would be very hard if we were dealing with 3,000 new sources per day. One source, one document, times 3,000. But it's a matter of verifying collections and verifying something about the source or the original source of intermediaries related to a collection of material. So we do enormous batches of, in some cases, one case we did nearly 5 million documents, for example.
If I can just add as well, I think this goes back to what Julian was just referring to about how we have quite a niche within our organisation in that we have large levels of technical expertise at our core. And we have learnt through our publishing model and progressing in this specialisation in large archives, and they are just a different nature. There's still the same journalistic processes, RE validation, source protection, etc. But when you're talking about large archives, they're just a slightly different nature of the documents, and so your processes for validation are quite specific to working with large data sets rather than, as you say, obviously reading 3,000 individual documents a day that come from different places is quite a different type of task. Yeah, the gentleman just at the back there.
Bulgarian research had hundreds of malicious marks on the website. How do you get through this policy?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that one, Julian, or... Oh, sorry, you can't. I keep forgetting you can't hear them. Sorry, I'm sorry. The gentleman was just asking the question about the malware, and he stated that a Bulgarian researcher has found much malicious malware on our site, and just wanted, I guess, an explanation of that one.
Well, sure. I mean, it's quite. As I said before, when WikiLeaks publishes something, you get what we publish, which is interesting. You get the reaction by the institution concerned, which is interesting. And then you get the reaction by the allies, or those people sucking up to the economic or political gradient of the institution concerned. So in this particular case, the Hillary Clinton campaign has been going around saying, don't read WikiLeaks because there's malware. And it's saying that quite aggressively, and her sympathizers as legal cases. So we're not interested in kind of, in censoring our materials or redacting them at all in general, but very occasionally we might redact for a limited period of time if there's some security situation involving some person, but only for a limited period of time. And the case of where, for example, in the AKP, the Turkish ruling political party of Erdogan, where we published around 200,000 of their emails from this, most of them from this year, some from the year before, but all published this year. There was malware sent to the AKP, either from criminal gangs or from state attacks on the AKP. Now that's extremely interesting. And it's not something we're going to censor. Now, does that mean that readers of WikiLeaks' website are infected by that malware by reading our website? No, this is malware that targets email. That's an attachment. You can't be infected by reading our website. You have to download one of the attachments, an exe, and then open it on your desktop and ignore the warnings, etc. So just like downloading any information on the internet site. If you play it that way, there's a chance you'll get it. Malware, just like malware can be in your email box as well.
There's some other questions. Yep.
I just wanted to ask a little bit more about the changes that you signaled in the way that WikiLeaks is structured, and if you can just go into that. Is it the financial pressure primarily that's driving you, or what is behind those changes, and what kind of timetable for that to all be announced?
So the changes in structure, the lady was asking a question about the changes in structure you were talking about. I don't know if you would describe them as changes in structure or just sort of increase, but she was wanted to know any more about these, and particularly the donation side that you'd referred to, and what the timescale is on these changes to take place of the upcoming more organizational changes rather than just publications.
Well, I mean, some of these things are immediate. As I said, our effort to build a very sizable community and bring in the public as a task force to analyze, amplify our publications, and to defend us against what is a really quite remarkable McCarthyist push in the United States at the moment, principally by Hillary Clinton's allies, because she happens to be the person being exposed at the moment. If you're talking about our structural changes in terms of membership system that we've produced similar to FAS, that's being rolled out. Now we have an internal beta. It's something that will occur over the remainder of the year. We hope to have it, the membership sign-up system done in about 30 days.
Person back there?
Yes, just a question in regards to the legal situation. We've seen we go through a lot of different avenues. Can you shed any light on perhaps what comes next? Perhaps how confident you may be in resolving the legal situation at the moment?
Legal, are you talking about sort of with the US grand jury? Are you talking? There's a question about your personal legal situation within the embassy and what's possible next for you in your case. You hear me?
What's the question?
Oh. What's next for you in your personal legal situation there at the embassy?
Well, I mean, it's all politics, right? The law is clear. The UN has ruled on the matter. The United Kingdom is not only has discarded the EU, and of course says good and bad things about the EU. It is committed, the government is committed, and said so repeatedly, it is going to withdraw its Human Rights Act, so scrap the UK Human Rights Act and attempt to either completely withdraw from the European Court of Human Rights or substantially withdraw the impact of the European Court of Human Rights. So it's, I'm in a country that doesn't follow the law.
Yes?
In context of some of the things we've seen on the WikiLeaks Twitter account, does Julian feel some affinity of some kind to Donald Trump?
Sorry, it's just very funny when you know. Do you feel any affinity with Donald Trump? This is in the context of some of the tweets, and I suppose this accusation that you're for Trump because against Clinton is the accusation that people try to make. And so the question was, in the context of this and our Twitter feed, do you feel any personal affinity with Trump?
You need to, the mic's a bit muffled, so you need to speak clearly.
Do you feel any personal affinity with Trump?
With Trump?
That was the question, yeah.
It's an interesting question. I feel personal affinity, really, I think, with all human beings. You can, through understanding someone and what drives them, you can feel sorry for them. I certainly feel sorry for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It's a kind of human sympathy. These are two people that are tormented by their ambitions in different ways.
Any other questions? Yeah, just to the back there, gentlemen.
If you could provide a rough timetable for the first election week, or actually when the first election week might come.
So this is talking about, you were explaining there's a number of different publications coming up. Are you able to give any more specificity on when one specifically to do with the elections will be coming? I know you said there'll be several over the next weeks.
I think the statement I made was clear, that our first publications in the series are this week. I haven't said whether US election related or not. I would like to keep that ambiguity, but we have quite a pace ahead of us.
Yep. So.
Could you ask him to clarify his comment about how Brexit may change his legal status? I didn't quite understand whether you were saying it's an opportunity or potentially a risk.
Yeah, sure. Can you just do a quick clarification on your Brexit statement and that this could have changes for your legal case? Did you mean that specifically more as an opportunity or as a risk for your legal case?
Well, the Brexit is a slight risk in relation to there no longer be appeals to the European Court of Justice. So there's certain avenues that are cut off there. On the other hand, I mean, I have a lot of legal cases. So we have the US case and the UK is second phenomenon tonight with the US extradition warrant will be landed in the UK. We have the UK bail case, which they're trying to arrest me over seeking asylum in the first place, which of course is completely illegal, but they're attempting to do it anyway. And we have the Swedish extradition warrant, which there's no charges for. So that in relation to the Swedish extradition warrant, which is an almost rhetorical problem, and is used by the UK rhetorically to justify, although not legally, that is going to face increasing political and legal difficulties. So the UK has said that it is going to grandfather in all existing EU law and then start knocking it out. But the abuses of the EAW, including by Sweden and including in my case, were one of the things that drove the UK at an intellectual level, in terms of its sovereignty debate, out of the European Union. And there were significant debates about the abuses of the EAW in Parliament. So I would be surprised if the EAW is not significantly attacked as a result of things like extradition without charge in the UK Parliament as the transition occurs.
Yeah.
I asked before about why the announcement wasn't made yesterday on the balcony. It wasn't quite answered.
Oh, yes, sorry, he came on halfway through. Well, we could just ask. Yeah, the question is regarding, can you give any further information on the reason you had to cancel your speech in London later today? Security was given, but do you have anything else you can add?
Yes, we received information. That meant that the people involved in doing the security for the event believed that it should not be done.
Any other questions? One last on that, yeah.
Maybe just a question about his personal situation. Now living there for 4 years in the embassy. How is he in the moment physically? How he feels there?
How are you after 4 years in the embassy? How do you feel sort of physically? You look all right to us.
A bit pale. A bit pale. A bit pale. Actually, I was thinking the other night, it'd be pretty interesting for vitamin D researchers, right? Because it's pretty rare that you have a subject that hasn't seen the sun in 4 years, but is otherwise healthy. There's a few people who are in hospitals, for example, that are bedridden, can't move, but very rarely see the sun. I suppose they will that occasionally, but and there's some space station people. I don't know if they've arranged for some there, but it's quite rare that you have an otherwise healthy-ish person. I have some other problems from being in the embassy, but these are not diabetes or something like that.
One last question.
What can Americans do to support WikiLeaks now that it's been polarized as every American supporting them as a communist, red on the bad side, on the bad?
And there was a question specifically in relation to the propaganda attacks that we receive, and particularly from the US. And in that sort of context, do you have any advice for our supporters from America who may sort of feel pressures for them to be maligned, etc., because of their support? Robustly engage with it. It's I love it. These propaganda attacks they're so amazing. They're pathetic and laughable in all sorts of cases, and dangerous in others, but they're so revelatory of the different associations in power between different groups. So you should really see them as an opportunity to understand who's aligned with who and how social and political conformism works. It's a very accelerated process, and so one is able to see it unfolding in real time. In terms of combating it, there was some of you may not know, but there was an incredible front page story of the New York Times a few weeks ago, which in period pages about us, with no facts in the story at all. The only fact, or alleged, the only news in the story was that the US government said they couldn't find a connection between us and Russia. That was the only fact. But the whole story
it was actually ended the other way to half incidences, not even bizarre, absurd claimed coincidences, such as that I started speaking and campaigning about ROJ TV, which is the largest Kurdish language TV station, or at least it was, until a dirty deal, which we exposed, between Barack Obama, the Turks, the former Prime Minister of Norway, Rasmussen, who was thought to become head of NATO, and did, and the Danish intelligence services and the Danish prosecution authority got together and decided to kill off ROJ TV, just eliminate it legally. It was imported in Denmark, beamed up to Eurosat and beamed down again. And the case is now proceeding at the European Court of Human Rights. So our cables revealed the deal was done. Turkey would only permit Rasmussen to become the head of NATO if they knocked off ROJ TV. So because the ECHR case was on, I started speaking about this. And so the New York Times made the claim that Rasmussen was the head of NATO, and Putin didn't like the head of NATO, Rasmussen, that our talking about and drawing attention to what I think is actually the most interesting cable, or rather the cable that kind of has it all, this Rasmussen cable, because it's got, the collapse of separation of powers and liberal democracy, the Kurds, censorship, NATO, blah, blah. But this was somehow proof of alignment. So these are, they're just pathetic kind of arguments. If you go to justiceforarms.com, you can read the facts about me and my situation and use those to combat propaganda. And for WikiLeaks, we have today released frequently distorted facts. If you go to wikileaks.org/10 years with a numeral 10, wikileaks.org/10 years, you can read about some of those frequently distorted facts. But I think it's a real opportunity to educate people and, as I said, see the structure, power and influence unfolding in real time in this bizarre, liberal, neo-McCarthyist hysteria unfolding in the United States.
Yeah, we're sneaking one last question in. Yeah.
So there are some people who say that the rise of the populist nationalist parties, that has a lot to do with people's, concerns about the collapse of the rule of law, that the sort of questions of globalization, but also about the ability of government to protect people. Do you think that the amount of transparency that you brought to that process of governing actually has contributed in some way to that kind of deep crisis of confidence in governments that
This is quite a good one to end this thing on. It's okay, so, and correct me if I'm misrelaying any of this. There is a trend that we're seeing of a rise of populist nationalist fronts. Is this seemingly a reaction to what is seen as a breakdown in the rule of law? Do you think that WikiLeaks' work has helped or hindered actual transparency coming to this sort of culture clash between the left and the right? Do we bring transparency? Do we enforce more secrecy through the reaction to the publication?
Well, you've got two things. Really two parts to this question. One is about the rise of populism of different kinds, left populism, right populism. And the other is about what is the reaction by intransparent organizations to being made transparent by whistleblowers and activists and other sources. Well, in the second case, this was part of what I played 10 years ago in my discussions with others. So if a intransparent organization that is involved in an abusive processes, not just a single individual doing something randomly, but some kind of structural abuse, then of course it has two choices in response to exposure. Option A is to stop the abusive conduct. If its internal workings are revealed, it's not something that gets the public or other institutions offside and has a political economic cost as a result. And option B is it can take everything off paper. It can conceal its processes. But concealing processes takes economic work. Now, there's good reasons why systems are well documented. It's because they start to decay through Chinese whispers or through the periphery, not obeying the center, as well, if there's not a clear chain of command, etc. So sure, you can take everything off paper, you can go completely oral, but the result is a maximum size of the organization or the maximum size of that process within the organization will reduce, and therefore the systematic quality of abuse or injustice produced by an organization which generates opponents, if it is known, must similarly degrade, or the whole organization must reduce in size because of the extra expense of doing things in this manner. In relation to, so it's basically a win-win. You either get an organization which is less abusive or an organization which is smaller because it's taxed by its own secretive processes. In relation to the rise of popularism, well, my analysis is that most of this is caused by the breaching or the gradual degrading of existing media hierarchies. And social media has clearly played a significant role, but as has all the new media startups, new organizational startups, where now every organization, even a tiny one, is a publisher. Is able to publish its views on the world and its position, etc., directly, rather than sending this through gatekeepers. So, as a result, established powers which connect to large media organizations, I know there's a lot of journalists here that work for them, but I'm sorry they do, and create standards, often very bad, usually to prevent or make it costly for journalists to question existing establishment powers, and just occasionally good. These are in decay. And so as a result, the more common sentiments of smaller organizations and individuals start to rise, and it's only natural that in response to that you see an increase in populism.
And on that note, I'd like to say, Julian, thank you very much for joining us here in Berlin. Thank you to all the press for coming, and thank you to our supporters for being with us for 10 years and beyond.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I know.